for July 5th, 2022. It's a little after 5:30, so we'll call this meeting to order. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Hewitt?
Here.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Here.
Commissioner Romanek?
Here.
Commissioner McQuaid? Mayor Orndorff?
Here. And if we could all stand for the salute of the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being conducted in accordance to the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Clerk, is there any changes to the meeting or agenda?
No, Mayor.
Okay, and public comment on agenda items only. If anybody has any comments or questions on the agenda items only, please come to the podium, state your name and concerns. Seeing nobody, we'll close the public comment. We'll go to discussion of commissioners. Commissioner Romanek.
Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody had a safe and enjoyable 4th of July celebration of our nation. And that is all for right now, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Hewitt.
Yes, thank you. I'm just going to touch on it quick because we got work to do. Last night, fireworks. Great job, Parks and Rec and Mayor Orndorff. It was fun. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vice Mayor.
I'm going to ask Wayne to come up and explain, you can go backwards here, we're going to do two before we do one. If you could explain the problems at Forest Walk, since I'm sure we've all received emails concerning the punch list and what's wrong. You have some photographs in front of you. Yeah. So, as well as the entire punch list. And I invited the people that were complaining to come to the meeting today, so maybe they'll be here at the second meeting and not the first one. But anyway, here we are.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to provide some additional information on the Forest Walk development. That's an older subdivision that fell into bankruptcy in the past and went through litigation in the courts and was resurrected, which is a good thing for the city and the residents. Unfortunately, it comes with some older baggage of a long list of items that need to be corrected. I think you'll find before you a punch list that was just recently updated, and we have a PowerPoint presentation of some of the items on the list. I apologize, a couple items didn't make it to the list. During our video inspections of the sanitary sewer, we found a gas line penetrating the sewer line. That was immediately repaired because it was deemed to be a hazard. That's not on the list. So those are the kind of things we find, in developments you have to be, alert for and looking for. During the video inspection of the storm line, you can see there's a collapsed ADS storm pipe that needs to be repaired. We found that. It's in I think a stone recharge trench, so they're going to have to excavate up the road, probably go back 4 feet on each side of the damaged section and replace it, to reconstruct it as part of the stormwater system. So that was something we uncovered with our video inspection. So it's another pretty major item to find on a development, but it's not uncommon, but it is a major item. The American Disabilities Act requires, access for all, people needing, wheelchair or handicap access to roadways and sidewalks. You can see in the center photo there's no detectable warning plate on the ramp itself, which is to alert people that they're entering into an area of traffic. Even if they had the detectable warning plant, area there, it would not be acceptable. The slopes were too excessive. So we found a lot of slopes over the 8%, and there were no landings after the slopes to allow people to set up to make the turn. So almost every ADA ramp out there needs to be reconstructed because they don't meet the current code or standards. So that's a pretty big item out there. There's a lot of ramps that are not compliant. The next pretty big item we found is access to the driveways themselves. Our city ordinance calls for a maximum slope of 8% on the driveway. Now, while some of the driveways may meet 8% or exceed it, the aprons in the front are very steep. You can see on the left there is Michelle's car. We did a test, and she bottomed out. I think that was a 25% slope right there. That could have been corrected during the work by just moving the sidewalk a couple more feet, onto the property. Unfortunately, that wasn't done. In review of this, because there's so many driveways impacted, and we don't want to start ripping up everybody's driveway, causing disruption to their lives and, just problems. We did some research. National Transportation Highway Safety Board has actually a document on drive access, so I reviewed that. And being an old guy that loves Camaros, we chose a Camaro as the design vehicle, and that gave us like almost a 14% slope. But even that, most of them exceeded 14%. So engineering came up with a method to test the drive, simulating the final pavement on the road, utilizing 2x material under the tires. So we tested the worst drives, and it seems like they may get some relief from that, seeing the work. So our recommendation is to move forward with the final paving and then to check every driveway again, on a case-by-case basis. Some of them are going to have to be redone, but the majority of them probably pass. So and that was no easy task to come up with that solution, but that's the best we could come up with. Here's a sanitary manhole, checking all the manholes on the project. This one has been filled with asphalt in the bottom. So I don't know how hot mix asphalt ended up in the channel of the manhole, but there it is. So we found that. So someone has to get down there, jackhammer that all out, and restore the channel. We have fire hydrants on the project. You can see Nick there is getting a measurement. Every hydrant has a bury line on the bottom barrel of the hydrant. The reason for that is that were a car to run off the road and hit the hydrant, if he hits that hydrant too low, it's not going to cause the breakaway flange between the bottom barrel and the hydrant to break. It'll cause the bottom shoe to break, and you'll have a massive water leak. So there's 3 hydrants out there to have to get replaced. It doesn't look like there's a riser section there. Probably during construction there was another utility obstruction. They probably cheated up the line and had the wrong burial depth hydrant. So that they have to be dug up and corrected. And there's numerous signs missing on the project. Grading issues adjacent to inlets, whereas actually the inlet's at a high point, as you can see on that one on the corner. Water's ponding to the left of it, so they have to do some regrading, make sure we have positive drainage to the inlets. This is just a typical photo showing a sanitary sewer clean out. I think it says curb box, but it's actually a sanitary sewer clean out that's too high. They should get reset to be, flush with the grade. That's just another inlet with a broken headpiece. Numerous headpieces are broken. They're hit by snow plows over the years. The frames are broken. They need to get replaced. All through the project, there's 2-inch direct bury utilities, Comcast, cable, things of that nature, sticking out of the ground in people's lawns. Some of them are 6 feet in the air. They have to get, if they're, abandoned, they have to get cut off below ground and capped. If people can't mow around them, it's a hazard. So that has to get repaired. This is one of the drives. I think it's 1,118. Yellowwood was found to be obstructed by the contractor. He went in and, with good faith to repair the drive apron, but he left the guy closed out of his driveway. When we went there, we saw they didn't restore the base paving. That's now been corrected to the best of my understanding. There's another broken inlet head section. That inlet looks to be out of alignment. It actually looks to be high on the right side, and there's ponding evident on the right, so that has to be reset to have proper drainage. I think that's it for the Forest Walk punch list. I'm meeting with the contractor Thursday on site. They're willing to do whatever they got to do. Of course, they're pushing back on everything, but we just push back at them. It's just got to get fixed.
And the consequences of us letting that stuff slide, then who gets stuck with the repair bills?
Absolutely.
Us, right?
Yep.
So that's the reason that we're so diligent on these inspections, and I really wish some of the homeowners were here tonight. But then they would understand why we don't accept this stuff.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so the other thing I would ask that you talk about is AECOM. We have a item on the agenda to award them some money for engineering, so if you could explain what that is for.
Well, AECOM is on the agenda, and I want to thank the city and the commission and the mayor and all the staff for moving forward with that. That's an important project for the city to construct the third clarifier that's been tossed back and forth for many, many years. The clarifiers, the secondaries now are too shallow. They're too small in diameter. They really can't handle the flows well. When you get higher flows, you get solids washing up over the sides into the weirs. One of the upgrades, they installed Stanford baffles around the perimeter of the clarifier to help catch the sludge to stop it from washing over. Eventually, they'll be removed because they're just catching gas and causing other issues. So, right now, our clarifiers aren't compliant. We need the other clarifier in order to handle increased flows that we have coming in the future from all the development. We're predicting from flow analysis another 850,000 gallons a day, which will bring us up to about 3.5 MGD at the plant. Putting this other clarifier in will also allow redundancy that's required by, EPA, NJDP, and all 10 state standards that we don't have. If one clarifier were to go down now, the flows we're at now, we could probably be okay because we have the disc filters. At the future flows, disc filters aren't meant to be, secondary treatment. They're tertiary polishing to clean up the water. I don't know if you've been to the plant, but the water coming out of the plant right now looks like drinking water. It's very clean. It's actually cleaner than the water in the river, so it's helping the river. But the third clarifier is definitely needed. AECOM has a design done. This is to get those plans, get them ready to go out to bid and construction. Through the infrastructure trust, we'll have financing, so it'll be an NJDEP approved project. So it's an important project for the city.
And the additional money for, oh my God, brain stops.
CME,
Thank you.
oh, that's,
Yes.
CME is another, and by the way, had I started 4 years ago on this, I would have loved to have done the Ireland Avenue pump station design in-house. Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of time on our side right now. We have development pressure. We have to get it done. We're utilizing COVID money for this project. There's a 3,800 linear feet force main from Ireland Avenue that feeds out to West Side Pump Station. It's only 6 inches in diameter. It's seriously undersized. The velocity head loss and the main just kills the whole pump station and the flows that we get through there. So, ramping up our flows, to another 850,000 gallons a day, we're probably looking at a 10 or a 12-inch force main to replace that undersized line. Also increasing the pumps and rebuilding the pump station itself into more of a semi-regional pump station. Right now it has a very, very small wet well. It fills up in 4 minutes. It's way too small. So everything there is undersized. We're pretty much salvaging the wet well during the construction. That's the heavy structural concrete item. We'll save money on that. The building shell itself is just brick and block and mortar. We'll be taking that down and rebuilding, a new pump station with 3 main lift pumps, an emergency, bypass pump, an area for a new diesel generator. The generator out there now is from 1998. It looks like it's still working. Maybe we can keep using it as long as we can, but eventually we're going to need a new generator, at that site. So that's another important project for the city. And in the past, the city had a, almost stop development because we couldn't handle flow through Ireland Avenue Pump Station. So it's a key component to the growth of the city.
Just a couple more questions. So we have a lot of road work scheduled to be done, and grants had to be updated, and we're doing that in-house, correct?
Right.
So we have our engineering staff working on all that stuff, which also is taking up a lot of time, in addition to all these inspections. So that's why you see a lot of this stuff, you know now, why now we need to do this stuff. So, can you just enlighten us about the sewer line break and the storm sewer line break today that kept you a little busy?
This morning when I came into work at about 10:07, around 10:08, I learned that we had a sewer issue on Broad Street at the railroad crossing. Over the weekend, we had a complaint from a business that they had no service and they were having sewer backups. So the sewer crews went out there as they should, and they tried to clean the line. They found it had grease in the line, so they ran a grease cutting head on the sewer jet out there, and they knocked the grease loose, and immediately service was restored to the restaurant. Unfortunately, the grease head became lodged in the pipe. At first, it was thought to be about 10 foot from the center line of the tracks to the east towards 2nd Street. They went back now, it's about 36 inches from the east rail. From our records, it's a line that was put in 1922. It was probably a cast iron 10-inch line under the railroad bed, terracotta connected on each end. Unfortunately, back at that time, they didn't use casings for the line, so we might dig tomorrow morning and find that the cast iron has a hole in the top. And if we're that close to the rail, unfortunately, we won't be able to do much. We may be able to slip line it. We don't know until we dig it up tomorrow morning to get the grease cutter head out of there. Then we'll see. We're going to video the line and see how to move forward.
There'll be no train traffic in town tomorrow.
We had to coordinate with Winchester Western Railroad and ended up calling, I don't know, Maryland or somewhere. Finally got a number for the local, rep here. They're very helpful. They rerouted all the train traffic tomorrow around the city. So I don't know where they sent it, but they sent it somewhere. So we don't have to worry about the trains tomorrow morning.
And Pine and High Street, after that, then we have a sinkhole there now. Right?
Yeah, we had another sinkhole. Looked like it was a storm drain. So today was a day for sinkholes. So they, filled the void with DGA. Tomorrow they're going to, dig it up. They coned around it, filled the hole. They're going to dig it up tomorrow, see if they can do the repairs in-house. So we're looking at that tomorrow morning also.
So there's a typical day in engineering for you.
Typical day. The only easy day was yesterday. Yep.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Second thing on my list here is, well, first thing, but resolution not to renew the lease agreement with Second and Main Petroleum. Prior, the city had a lease with the gas station there for part of their parking lot, which equaled the amount of their property taxes. So we were using the parking lot. Of course, with court being virtual for most of it now, we no longer need that. And the lease ends if we don't renew
Yeah,
it.
the lease ends, I think it's in September, either September or November of this year. But you have to give notice prior to that, or else it automatically renews.
So
Do we know that notice is at 60, 90 days?
Brock's got that covered.
Well, I think the notice is effective the end date of the term of the lease. So we're giving actually, I think, more notice than what required.
And that's all I have.
This is right next door.
Yeah.
All right, that's all you have?
That's all I have. Is that enough?
Thank you. Wayne, thank you again for breaking that all down in the explanation. We appreciate it. At this time, I don't have anything. Is there any new business?
We have no new business.
All right, we'll go to public comment portion. If anybody would like to address the commission, ask any questions or concerns, come to the podium, state your name and address, and please have your comments limited to 5 minutes. Seeing nobody, will close the public comment portion. And I believe we have resolution.
Okay, yep. We have a resolution authorizing a closed session for the following matters. Discussion on rescinding letter of support for Kirchen Cannabis LLC under the attorney-client privilege and deliberative process exemption, and also the discussion of the EMS contract, also under the contract negotiations exemption, excuse me.
Move the resolution.
Second motion.
I have a motion and second, and roll call.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Yes.
Commissioner Romanek?
Yes.
Commissioner McQuaid?
Yes.
Mayor Orndorff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We'll be back.
Mr. Compare, are you joining us?
Oh, did you turn off?
I did.
Joanna turned them on.
Go outside.
Just need a motion to adjourn.
Make motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
All right, we'll see everybody back at 7 o'clock.
Okey dokey.